Our liturgy has three intentional movements. We begin with our primary act of worship, the Eucharist, with lights and candles and music, with red hangings and red vestments. And then that very familiar rhythm is intentionally interrupted by the discomfort and the vulnerability of washing one another's feet before we return again to what we know and are comfortable with in bread and wine. And then, in the third act, all is stripped away, and this evening ends in darkness, a bare altar, and the silence of the church transformed into a tomb. So much happens here tonight in this walking backwards liturgy, as one of my clergy colleagues has called it. And all of it is necessary. All of it is needed to more fully experience what divine love actually is. All of it helps us remember. Not the cognitive recollection that we tend to associate with memory, like a photograph or a recording. Rather, the active participation in Christ's ongoing work of redeeming all things, remembering fractured and disparate parts, putting back together humanity, creation, the repairing of God's world, tikkun olam, as our Jewish brothers and sisters would say, the restoration of all things. Late last night, a thunderstorm rolled across our side of town. And as I lay awake watching the sky flicker and listening to the rain, my thoughts wandered back to a time not so long ago when nighttime thunderstorms meant two kids galumphing downstairs and scurrying into our bed, and how with mumbled and groggy words, Amy and I would try to remind them that we were all safe, that the rain was needed and welcomed. Of course, words are rarely enough when we are afraid. So we would all snuggle up and try, mostly unsuccessfully, to fall back asleep. I can remember how the twins would hold their breath after each flash of lightning, just waiting for that coming clap of thunder that would surely shake the windows. The suspended tension in knowing that something big and loud and scary was just about to happen was enough to stop their breath. When I hear tonight's familiar gospel story, I can't help but imagine that the disciples felt a similar state of breath-holding anxiety and dis-ease. They're gathered for what is supposed to be a celebratory meal, leading up to the excitement of the festival of the Passover, but accompanying them at dinner and at that table that night, interwoven with the food and the wine and the conversation, is a nervous anticipation about what this particular journey to Jerusalem entails for them. They're all plainly aware. They've heard the rumors about the chief priests and the scribes having it out for Jesus. They recall the stern looks, the derision that they experienced from those in power. They heard the threats that were issued the last time they were in town. And now they've come back, despite their pleas with him not to. And the authorities know they are here. And it feels like something big and loud and scary is just about to happen. And in that moment, while they're holding their breath, Jesus gets up from the table, takes off his tunic, kneels down, and begins to wash their feet. In disbelief, they watch him kneel and wash and stand up, and then kneel and wash and stand up, making his way all around the room, going from one person to the next, slowly, calmly, deliberately, he washes. And now, he says when he's finished, now I have set you an example. What I have done for you, you should do also. Love one another. How, you ask? I just showed you. Wash one another's feet. Bear each other's burdens. Clothe one another. Fill your hands with good things and hold them out to one another. Give up your seats of honor. Lay aside what you desire or what you believe you deserve for what someone else needs. Just as I have loved you, he says, so now you go and love. This is what I came to teach you. But words are rarely enough when we're afraid. So now I've shown you. Now I've shown you. Friends, this is more than a humble act of deference. This is a model for how Jesus' friends should offer themselves for one another. This is a sermon to the world about how to love. And in the gospel, according to John, this is the Last Supper. No, take, eat, this is my body, as it is in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. No, here things are different. But the do this as a way of remembering me is there nonetheless. When we muster the courage to stumble or shuffle our way toward bowl and towel, we are claiming that acts of loving service are as sure a foretaste of what it means to live like Christ as the bread and wine are a foretaste of heaven. Tonight, we get to experience both of these sacramental moments of remembering, participating in both of these practices of God's love, trusting that they will carry us through the days to come. Because from here, there's only one more place to go: into the dark. After we've washed and feasted together, we enter the third movement of tonight's liturgy, when we'll hear the psalmist's haunting words that Jesus himself quotes while hanging on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? As many of the things that we love, many of the symbols of our remembering are taken away. The paraments are stripped down, the candles are removed, the altar is washed with wine and water, whipped with last Sunday's palm branches, and wiped with tonight's towels. And then we sit in the darkness of Gethsemane, where Jesus kneels in the garden, pleading to not have to undergo what must be: betrayal by those he loves, beating, unjust accusations, and finally, a cruel, agonizingly painful death at the hands of the collusion between the government and religion. Alone as his friends sleep, tonight Jesus prays as he never has prayed before. He prays with all that he is, with all his heart and soul and strength he prays. And what he hears is that he must submit to the worst that this world, the worst that humanity can do to him. And tonight we will leave him there. After sharing this meal with him, after doing what he commanded us to do and washing one another's feet, we leave him alone in the darkness, uncertain even of our capacity to remember. We know what comes in the next 2 days, and we know what comes on Sunday. But tonight, we collectively hold our breath, waiting for the coming silence that will shake the very foundation of everything that is. Tonight, we are walking backwards into the darkness. So, it's time to take off our shoes and socks and prepare ourselves.